Okay, welcome back. We have 2 items to return to. First one will be 4.1. B, consideration of regional resilience planning grant application, and we've got community development staff. If you want to come on up. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming back.
We're ready for any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. I have with us Shannon Walker-Smith, our Deputy Administrator.
Okay. Any more questions on this grant? Supervisor Spatier?
So 2 things. One of them, just being picky on this one, says Lake's largest city, 29.4% live in poverty, and then it says the median household income is among the 10th lowest in the state. That's the county, not the city.
Okay.
We're just wondering if we can identify that, because that would not be the correct thing when it comes to the 10th lowest. And then my last part is, so there's obviously a very specific scope on climate resiliency, but it starts out as just resiliency. Am I supposed to parse out, because I see in your list you have volcano, you have earthquakes, and on your list of your things that are hazards, and then eventually it says climate change influence or priority hazard on that little matrix that you have. So are you looking at all potential threats or just climate change threats in this specific ask for the grant?
That table that you're referencing came directly out of the local hazard mitigation plan. Just because it asks, the grant asks, how did the community identify the needs and priorities? And so we're referencing these other documents that have already been developed to determine kind of what our priorities are for this application.
Okay. And the reason I bring it up, and I'll just finish my statement, earthquakes have helped build this area. For example, I believe it's the South Lake area never existed until the fault cracked and created another basin for the water to flow into. Used to flow out towards Ukiah. After earthquakes, it started flowing down Cache Creek. So I think we have the chance for some pretty intense earthquakes. We have been lucky. We have not had that happen, but I feel that our housing stock and our infrastructure the way it is, if we did have one, we are woefully unprepared for something large to happen. And I feel like that's missing in there, unless, again, I messed up on the idea of what the scope should be for what's being asked for from the grant. Because obviously earthquake is not perfectly aligned with climate change issues, but it is still a resiliency issue that I'm afraid of. Like, for example, in Maui, nobody would have really spoken about fire threats on a tropical island. But yet, look what happened. And I fear similar situations for earthquakes if we have something above a 6 or even more than that, that our infrastructure is very fragile in comparison to where maybe it should be.
Thank you. It's also important to keep in mind that earthquakes are part of the all-hazard, the all-hazard local hazard mitigation plan too. And so just because we haven't had one recently, or we have just the teeny tiny ones, due to geothermal, it's no reason to not consider the threat and be prepared for it.
So the reason I bring it up is because I didn't see it discussed in any great detail whatsoever in the document that I went through. Just wondering if that's something that we can bring up, or is that something already taken care of by other documents that are already being worked on?
I think I could circle back on that and see, relook. I mean, the idea is to pull in the data that currently exists. So that's what that list is based on now, but I can go back to those documents. Basically, I got to choose which documents I was going to pull in the data from, so let me circle back on that.
And of course, that's up to the rest of the board. That's just, those are my comments and on the document.
Obviously, we are an earthquake prone, continuing the conversations. I know we've had some of these conversations at the Risk Reduction Authority also, because we're not only, look, fire has been the big conversation, but all risks. I know the California Earthquake Authority, there's been conversations about reaching out to them for education as we're moving forward. So, yeah, I think a collaborative conversation as we move forward is always needed, because we are. You know, I'm not sure of the year, but we had the Napa earthquake not too long ago. I'm thinking a decade ago, right about?
2014.
Yeah, somewhere in that area. You know, so it obviously brings to light, as you're building structures here in Lake County, to always be aware of that. I can't think of the faults, but I know for my individual tribe, we set on a fault right down, I can't think of the name of it right now, but we are on a fault. So making sure that we understand the vulnerabilities as you're building projects are something we need to look at before. And as we always know, from a risk standpoint, if there is a large event, larger populated areas are going to be getting the support they need soon, and we need to always be thinking about how we're going to be resilient here as a small community to survive until the help does come. So I think we'll continue those conversations, at least from my point of view, from the Risk Reduction Authority. This is something we've had conversations about. Sorry. I just jumped in there.
It's okay. Okay. Any public comment? Anybody in the Zoom room? Okay. We could bring it back to the board for action.
If I could just add one last thing. I was just scanning through our existing health and safety element, and geologic and seismic hazards are in there. So yes, we will definitely, as we do both this first one, the safety element, as well as the update after the housing element, that will be addressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, action.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the RRPG application and authorize CDD Director to submit the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and 5.1, approve concession agreement for coffee kiosk services by and between the County of Lake and Mixed Lakeport LLC in the amount of $200 per month, and authorize the chair to sign. So we just have one line that's been added for concessionaire shall, in the first paragraph, beginning within 60 days, and then it says, said operation of the kiosk shall exclude any solicitation of any products and services not contemplated under Section 1 of this agreement. And so that is the only change that's been made? Yep, okay. Any comments?
I'm good with it.
Okay, any public opinion? Anyone in the Zoom room? Okay, then we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the concession agreement for coffee kiosk services by and between the County of Lake and Mixed Lakeport LLC in the amount of $200 per month, and authorize the chair to sign as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, 10 minutes before your inspection. Awesome. All right.
That was close.
Thank you for your service. Okay, so as mentioned before, we have no closed session items today, so we will adjourn this meeting.